Stream Deck 6.6 was released fairly recently. I've been on holiday, so I'm just catching up with a few things. And so I thought I'd just run through all of the new features because actually some of them are really helpful for just actually using Stream Deck. So not so much implementations with plugins and things like that, but just the actual physical process of organizing your Stream Deck. And I think that you're going to like a lot of these features in case you hadn't noticed them because they're not immediately obvious. If you've just been using Stream Deck, you've just been doing the updates, you may not, if you haven't looked at the release notes, actually noticed these things that you can do. So, and I know that a lot of them are things that people have been asking for, of course, which is why they are now there. So without further ado, let's just dig on straight into it. So first of all, one of the new integrations, and by the way, you can find the release notes down in the description. But the first thing is some functionality and integration with the new Stream Deck Neo. I don't actually have one of these yet, but I will get one to take a look at. And this is the Stream Deck Neo. It is essentially an 8-key Stream Deck. It's part of a whole range of products that they've brought out under the Neo line, which are intended to be slightly lower cost, easier entry into the Stream Deck or the Elgato ecosystem, I should say. So there's new microphone, new camera, new Stream Deck, and a few other things as well. So I will get some of these to test them all out. But this is essentially the Stream Deck Neo. And as you can see immediately, there is one main difference between this and the other Stream Deck line, which is that it's got this display here. So there is some functionality built into 6.6 that addresses these extra things that you can show on the Stream Deck Neo. Personally, I'm not going to be replacing my existing Stream Decks with something like this because, the more buttons, the better in my case. And when you don't have enough buttons, the solution, of course, is just buy a few more Stream Decks. So that is the first thing that has been added in, is basically some extra functions to allow you to work with the Stream Deck Neo. But I'll cover those in a separate video when I get my hands on one to do a little bit of testing. The next one, though, is really a very helpful thing that I've been using since 6.6 came out. And it's kind of solved a slight issue that I have. In fact, it solved the issue that caused me to add in some extra Stream Decks to my setup. So basically what I've got on my desk here is I've got two Stream Deck XLs, a Stream Deck Plus, and then I've got some pedals on the floor. And you may say, what's the point of having so many Stream Decks when you can just have various different pages, various different profiles? So on the Stream Deck, you can scroll between different pages of actions. So why not just simply, rather than having a second Stream Deck XL, why not just simply use pages to sort of scroll between them? Well, the reason that I added in that second Stream Deck XL is when I was needing more than 32 buttons in a given live situation. So if I am doing a live webinar, presentation, a workshop or something like that, and I've got some buttons that are controlling my Ecamm Live, which is my live production software, but then it may have like a collection of other different scenes. I may be controlling Zoom and things like that. I didn't want to be paging between things in that live situation because one thing I really rely on is the muscle memory of knowing exactly where my fingers are. So I don't need to look down at the Stream Deck to be able to just sort of touch the button and know where I'm touching to be able to switch over to that camera, for example. And I can just similarly just sort of look down here and know that I'm going to press this bottom corner button and it's going to take me back to this camera. So having that muscle memory of knowing where buttons are is really important to me. And I found that when I was using multiple pages in a live situation, then what would happen would be I would flick pages and then I'd go to press the button to go back to this main scene, for example, but it would do something different because I was on a different page. So that's when I added in that second Stream Deck. Well, they've added in a great new feature for folders, which really helps with this, in fact. And if we just go over to the Stream Deck for a moment, it's related to folders, as I say. So let me just share this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add in another page here, and we can use this as an example. In fact, one of the most popular videos on my channel is how I don't really use folders. I prefer to use profiles, and then within profiles, use multiple pages. And the reason for that was that you have to sort of drill into a folder. It's not accessible from everywhere. It's only accessible from in that particular profile, and then also you still have that problem of if you've gone into a folder, then we've got the same problem as if I try and spread things out over to multiple pages. The buttons aren't necessarily where I imagine them to be, going back to that muscle memory thing. Well, what you can do now is if you create a folder in here, so I'll just create a folder. when you open it up, you've got this option here to auto exit. And what that means is that when you toggle that one on and you can set the time, it basically means that when you've gone into that folder, so if I go into here, and then if you trigger an action, it's going to automatically take you back out. So how might that be used? Well, if I come over here, I've got a folder here, which is basically all of the little promo things that I use in my live streams. So if I paste this here and go into this folder, this would be things like, if I press something like this one here, it's going to pop up a little pop-up on screen saying, book a call. It'll post a link into the chat for me. So I use these during my live stream, and these were things that I traditionally had on my second Stream Deck. And as you can see, there's quite a row of them. So there is why I would need, quite a lot of buttons to trigger all of these things. Well, if we just turn on this auto exit option and leave that to 1 second, what happens is I basically press that promo button on my Stream Deck, or which is basically the folder. So it goes into the folder. Now I can trigger one of those promo things, like if I press this one for Discord, for example, that's going to then trigger Discord, but you'll see how it auto exited that folder. So we're right back to that screen. So in real terms, this is where I've got it on here. I want this screen full of all these buttons, but if I press the promo there, I'll just trigger another one, something like this, then it's going to automatically exit. So it kind of resolves that problem of you going into something and being stuck in, somewhere where you're not necessarily expecting it to be. So that auto exit is such a small thing, you wouldn't necessarily notice it when it's switched off specifically as well, but really helpful. The other thing that you might consider doing is just looking at where your if we just come out of here, if you look at where the button is on your Stream Deck, so in my case, down in this bottom corner, then what you could do is come in here and actually just arrange these things around that particular button space, so that then you can even do this all without looking down as well, because if you've got your buttons all around here and you know where they are relatively to that particular button, if I come out of there, I can basically just come out of this. And what I'm doing now is if I just come down to this button, I could press this button here. And then I just know to go, over to the left or whatever, one button, press that, it's going to pop up that little thing, and then you can see it's reverted back to that main screen again. So really subtle little thing, but super helpful in my opinion. So that is the auto exit folders. We're looking at the moment in here of having multiple pages. One of the things that was a little bit frustrating is that if you were creating different profiles and had different pages in here, and let's say this one here, I've just added a couple of actions. Well, if you wanted to basically have these new actions that we're creating, let's say we're adding some new things in, and we wanted this on page 2 instead, I'd have to go and copy and paste these things into here, or copy and paste these things out. Well, now all you need to do, again, not obvious, just click on the page and just literally drag it along. And now suddenly this new page that I'm building out is on page 2 rather than page 5. So super helpful because it was a real frustration before of having to copy and paste things all around. Speaking of copying and pasting, then there would be instances where you might be in a completely different profile. So, I mean, this has not got much on it, but it's quite distinctive. So let me just go to copy, because you can now copy pages and you can copy and paste those into other profiles and even across different Stream Decks as well. So let me just go to this one. This is a where's this one? This is a Zoom profile. But what I'll do is I'm just going to right click and go paste. And now we've just pasted that whole page of actions into this other profile. And as I say, it works across Stream Decks as well. So there is that Zoom profile. And now I've just pasted in that second page. Let me just go back, though, to my original profile here. There is another thing which is really useful, which is this promo folder that I created that I showed you here. What about if we want to actually convert this into a page? Or more likely, potentially, if you have been working with pages and now are interested in this auto exit feature from the folders, and you might think, right, well, what was previously a page on my Stream Deck? Let's convert that into a folder. This is also non-obvious, but super helpful, is if I just right click on this promo folder and go to copy and now come down to the pages, right click on the pages and click on paste, we've now just created a page from that folder. So the folder has now been converted into a page, but it works the other way as well. If I right click on this page and go to copy, and then let's take a blank page here somewhere, and if I right click here and go to paste, it's now created a folder, and the folder is that page. So if you're wanting to convert pages to folders, folders to pages, just copy and paste works just as you would expect it. So that's really helpful. The other thing then that I mentioned about was this thing of having this muscle memory of wanting to know exactly where my specific actions were, and it's usually some key actions that I want. So, for example, this one to come back to this shot, I'm always going to want to know exactly where that is for me to flick back to it when necessary. So there is another feature that has been added in, which is pinned actions. So the way that this works is if I just go over to my main Excel, so this is the one that I'm using for this live stream now. And what I've done is you'll see that I've got some different buttons on here for different things. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete a couple out of here. Let's just say that I've got these different pages, and potentially I am using pages and I'm going between them, but I always want to know that this action here is going to always be in that slot. Obviously, you need to leave a space for it so that it's you just have a blank space here where it's going to be. But what you can do is if you right click on this action and click on pin, now you see it's gone slightly grayed. It would help if I shared my screen. Sorry about that. Let me just do that again. It always helps if you share your screen. Right, I've come back to my Stream Deck, and what I've got is, this is my main Stream Deck. So what I was talking about was this one here is the button that I use to get back to this screen, and that's why we went back to that, because I was demonstrating pressing the button and then forgot to switch back again. But the point was, maybe I'm wanting to switch between different pages of actions, but just always want to know that I've got that button there in the bottom right-hand corner. Or bottom left-hand corner, in fact. So what you can do is click on it and click on this option to pin. And once you've pinned it, then you will see, now that I'm sharing my screen, that it is slightly grayed out. And you'll notice that it is now appearing on all of those other pages, except where there is something that is blocking it. So it's not going to override any existing actions. So you do just need to be conscious of that and move things around if there's something blocking it. But when you move something out of the way, then that pinned action will still be there underlying it all. You can also click on this little pin icon here. So when you click on the little pin icon, it will show you all of your pinned actions, and you can actually just build them out from here as well. So if you want to create a collection of pinned actions, you just add in the actions in exactly the same way as normal into this space, and then they will then appear on every single page. And that now means it's also solved that muscle memory problem that I was having, where I just want to know that if I click in that bottom corner, it will go back to this main shot. But now, even if I'm on page 2, I don't have to go through and just physically place that button on all of those pages. It's just there as a default, so I can come back to it like that. If you want to adjust that, you can always just come in and see your pinned actions and unpin them from here, and so then that is back to that. Those few things already that I've covered are actually massive. I mean, they're so subtle in terms of you don't really notice them. I mean, the only thing that's actually noticeably changed is this little pin icon. So you may well see that and, then think that there's something there and click on it. But unless you've read the notes, you wouldn't necessarily know about all these features. But I don't know about you, it has really sort of transformed the ease of use of creating new profiles with multiple pages and things like that. And as I say, if I had had all of these features sort of 12, 18 months ago when I added in that second Stream Deck, I may well have just not even added in that second Stream Deck, because it really helps with that sort of flow of using it when you are spilling out over the number of spots you've got on the device. So yeah, really, really helpful features there. I still maintain that the Stream Deck is not a streaming device. It is the ultimate productivity tool. And actually, that's why I created the Stream Deck Masterclass, because I found that a lot of people were using Stream Deck and maybe they buy it for live streaming or something like that. I mean, it's got stream in the name, maybe camera switching in Ecamm Live or OBS or something like that. But there is a whole load more to it. There is a load more features coming as well, but I'll talk about those in just a moment. I just want to mention the Stream Deck Masterclass, though, because this is intended to really help you leverage the power of Stream Deck for more than just potentially its intended purpose. And one of the things about Stream Deck as well is you're kind of starting with a bit of a blank canvas usually, although there's an update that the update has sort of solved that a little bit. But you are in control of your user interface. And I always imagine that, or equate this to, imagine buying a new car or something, and you get in, and then you just got to decide where all the buttons go in the car. Or you get into the car and you've got to design all your own little symbols so that you know what things do, what all the buttons and switches do. And so there is a real importance in sort of crafting your environment in the Stream Deck. And so that's one of the things that I focused on in the Stream Deck Masterclass, apart from giving an introduction to Stream Deck and basic setup and understanding how to use it, of course. There is this organization and personalization of Stream Deck that is really, I think, crucial to getting the most out of it. So being able to really have some sort of consistent look to your icons really helps, because then you have a consistent look and feel from an aesthetics point of view. I find that that's just from a usability standpoint. I mean, you don't get people designing apps or products where they've got a whole load of random different styles to their buttons. So having some sort of uniformity there, I think, is important. So I talk about how to do that and how to create those sort of icons. You also get all of my icon packs with this course, by the way, as well. But then also the organization, and I talk about using profiles and folders and pages and things like that, and how to organize things in a consistent manner as well. And really, these tools that we've just talked about, these new features, really just help with that as well. And then we go into talking about it being the ultimate productivity tool and how to use it for that. But then we do talk about the live streaming and using it for your online meetings and presentations and so on, and then using multiple Stream Decks and various other different things. So these are just the sort of module headings. There are, as you can see, 87 videos in all. So you can find a link to that down in the description if you're interested in taking your Stream Deck usage to the next level. Now, there's one other feature that's been added. I mentioned there about how you're often starting with a blank canvas. Well, actually, they've added in a default profile. So it always used to be that when you switched on Stream Deck, it would start with just a single icon in the middle, whereas that was a link to actually the Stream Deck store, I think, or something like that. Whereas now they have it that if you plug in a new Stream Deck or install Stream Deck for the first time, then there is a default profile that does have at least a few actions. Now, likely you're not going to want to. I mean, it's things like adjusting brightness, volume, and things like that on your computer. Just some general things that could apply to everybody, because obviously not everyone's using OBS, not everyone's using Ecamm, and so on. So it is just some general things, but at least it gives people a little bit of a starting point. Because I haven't sort of installed a new thing, I haven't actually seen all of the things that are in there, but at least it gives people a bit of a starting point to that. Now, the following things that I'm going to talk about then are some new features that are kind of more aesthetic. I'm probably not going to use these too much myself, but I understand how people might use them. So let's take a look at some of those. I will come back to my second Stream Deck. So the first one is a screensaver. And I'm a bit confused. I was in a folder, not a page. There we go, that's better. If I just create a new page here, one thing we can now do is add a page background. Now, this is going to be a background that appears on your button. So if I just right click and then go to where it says current background set from file, then what I can do, if I had the foresight to have a little file ready to drop in there, you can just drop in an image. So let me just go to my Adobe stock folder, why not? And I'll just drag in this one. Where are we? something bright that you can see would help. There we go. I'll just drag this one in. So if I just drag and drop this image onto here now, you can see there, that's quite bright. So if I click on set image, we've now got that image across all of our buttons. So if I go to my top-down shot, you can see that on this Stream Deck here, probably a little bit difficult to make out, but you can see that that image has now been applied across all of those buttons. So where you've got these icons that are transparent, so a lot of the built-in Stream Deck icons, such as timer, you can see that it's just got a little sort of transparent icon. Of course, I've chosen a terrible color, probably a very white and yellow background was not the best. Let's show you then how to change that. So if I go to profile background and we just, how do I do this now? Wait 1 second. Reset to default. There we go, that's better. So I want to go to set from file. Let me just put something that's going to be a bit better contrast. I probably want something a bit darker. I will use this one. Here we go. It's just some random thing. There we go. But now you can see that the icons stand out. Way to demo something. So here, if I drop on multi-action, whoops, you can see that, yeah, those icons stand out. So if you've got an icon like one of these ones, where it is a solid thing, so I'll just copy this one, then it is going to be over the top of that, and it's going to, replace that background image there. But if you are just using icons that have got transparency to them, then they are going to show up. And so that's a way to add a little bit of styling to your page and your profiles. Now, if I add another page in, you can see there's no background in there. But what you can do is you can right-click and you can apply to the whole profile. So where it says profile background, if you go to use current as default, then now you'll see that when I go to those other pages, then that background image is there across all of them. So that's the first styling thing that has been added, is page backgrounds and the ability to add default backgrounds. The other thing related to images as well, if I go into the settings here, so I'm going to click on this little cog icon, and then you've got devices. You've got a couple of things here. So I'll go to this one first. In the advanced tab here, you can set an image for the standby screen. So the standby screen is what appears when the Stream Deck is switched on and powered on, but it's not actually connected to the Stream Deck app. So that would be, let's say, when I put my computer to sleep, I don't switch my computer off. I just use one of the hot corners on my Mac as it happens to just basically sleep the computer. Then technically the Stream Deck is still powered on, and so you may have seen there's like a sort of Elgato symbol that appears on it, where you can basically replace that. So that's what this is. This standby screen is what's going to be on the screen when it is not in use effectively. So if you click on this one, set image, exactly the same. You can just drag and drop any image on here. And now that's what's going to appear when the device is asleep. Next one then is also in there. I don't know why I've closed that down, but now we can see under the devices, and as I say, this is on the device tab, so that means it is at the device level. So if you come in here, you can set it for all of your different devices and have different ones on different devices if you want. There's also this option here for screensaver, and this allows you to add in an animated GIF as the screensaver in the background. So let me just see if I've got something here. I did get to one of them. So let's say I've got some sort of animated GIF like this. Then what I will do is I will just add this into here. So I'm just going to drag and drop it like that. And you can resize it as well. So depending on where it is, you can change the size here. So depending on the size of the image, you can move that around. And then you can see how it sort of animates on the screen like that. So if you do that, you just click on. Sorry, I just realized the bottom was just dropped off there. So that's how I was just sort of scrolling through to see how it was going to work on all of those buttons. And then you can click on set image. And that now has been set. The screensaver, you can choose how often to sleep the display. And that's going to then kick in basically after 5 minutes. That will then kick in on that particular Stream Deck. I've said that these are things that I'm not likely to use personally. I have my Stream Decks to sleep never. So I just always want them on. I don't want the buttons to sort of disappear. So I don't personally use screensavers, but if you do, then that is how you can easily set them. There was a way that you could do this before that was a little bit more of a hack, for want of a better word. But this is how you can now easily do that. So that is some of the new features. I will just check in with the chat and see if anyone's got any questions, because I've not even said hello to anybody yet whilst I wait for that screensaver to kick in. So hey Keely, it's great to see you in here. The new features in 6.6, as I mentioned as well, they're not at all obvious. Apart from that little pin on the pages, you would not necessarily know that any of these things are here, because they don't sort of jump out as a new feature or anything like that. Hey Jeremy, great to see you as well. I know it's a new feature, crashing every single day. Have you really? I've not had mine crash actually on me at all. So that's odd. I've not seen that myself, so I can't comment on that. But I suppose I just am commenting on it, aren't I? So I don't know. Let's see. The others are all just comments from me, it seems. There we go. Hello, Cyprian Lomas. Great to see you. You're welcome. And Aubrey, great to see you as always as well. Jeremy, would you say you prefer the physical Stream Deck to the software running iOS because of the tactile feel? Yeah, definitely. I love the Stream Deck on the iPad, the app specifically. One of the things that has over the regular Stream Decks that is a really great feature is that because you can run multiple instances of the Stream Deck app on the iPad, so you know where you can like open up two browser windows and have them side by side, so it's technically two sort of Safari windows on the iPad. You can actually open two instances of the Stream Deck app on your iPad as well, which means that you could potentially have a bank of 8 buttons maybe to switch between profiles, and that's going to change what's happening on that other side of the screen, or potentially be connecting to two separate computers. So if you've got dual computers, you can have a Stream Deck app on your iPad that is then controlling both of those things separately, one side for one side for the other. So there's some real advantages for the Stream Deck app that weren't there previously, and it was 15 buttons was the sort of limit, and so it worked well on a phone. But as soon as you added the Stream Deck app to the iPad, you still just had those sort of 15 buttons or whatever on it. Whereas now it's a lot more customizable, and you can have, what is it? I want to say it's 40 or 80 or something like that. I can't remember exactly. Is it 8 by 8? I can't remember. But anyway, there are basically more buttons. So it becomes also the biggest Stream Deck in that respect. You can actually have more buttons on one screen. I do have the mobile app. I do use it in some instances. So like, for example, if I'm doing a demo of something like a new product or something, there are times in the past where I've just had a whole series of scenes set up because I make all the videos. This is obviously a live stream, but all my recorded videos are live in one take with no edits. So when I want to add in sort of like little B-roll things, I've often used the Stream Deck app to do those, because it's just a completely separate device. I can load those all up and then use it like that. I would like to say that I also use it when I'm traveling, but I don't really travel and use my Stream Deck or do anything like that at all. The past few times I've been away, I've taken my computer and things with me, thinking that I might just do something, but I never do. So there we go. But yeah, the Stream Deck app is fantastic, and it's come a long way. But to answer your question in a long, rambling, roundabout way, I still definitely prefer that tactile feel of the buttons, because being able to just sort of look down at my screen down here, just down there, or rather not look down, but just sort of feel down and be able to switch over to my top-down shot, be able to just feel down here to, I just want to touch on this button here and come back again is great. And yeah, I just noticed there's 64 buttons, so that's, yeah, it's an 8 by 8 matrix, isn't it? That's the number of buttons on the iPad. So yeah, I definitely do prefer the tactile feel. But the app is great, and I do pay for the app. It's I think it's $25 a month, not a month, $25 a year for the subscription to the Stream Deck app, and I definitely do that. So let's have a look. Yeah, they are awesome, and they're really they're kind of like almost feel like under the hood sort of things that are really adding to the functionality of things, and just make it that much more usable for creating new profiles, creating new pages, and all of that kind of thing. If there are any other questions, just let me know. And there we go. Just like that, Cyprian's made a new screensaver. So they're really easy to implement. As I say, not obvious, though, that these things are there. That about wraps up the new features. And just right on cue, what we can see is, if I go to my top-down shot, my screensaver has just popped up here on the screen as well. So that's 5 minutes since I installed that. So there we go. That is how easy those things are to use. Really great functionality. If anybody does have any other questions, and by the way, this is why I don't like screensavers now. All my buttons have just disappeared on me on that particular Stream Deck. If you do have any other questions, comments, or feedback, or anything like that, best place to ask about those is in the Discord community. I have a hard time keeping track of comments and things like that on YouTube, but yeah, in the Discord community is the best place to do that. Well, if there are no further questions or anything like that, comments or feedback, then I will just say thank you for watching. Thank you also to my awesome channel members. I'll leave a link over to some of my other Stream Deck stuff over here on the right hand side, and say have a great day after probably my shortest live stream in history.